ready to recover.
Arcane Recovery.
This is a new intro for Arcane Recovery.
Oh.
I'll take my recovery. On the rocks.
Anyway, welcome to Arcane Recovery, a after talk show based on the last two episodes that we recorded for the podcast of Campaign 1 Ventilor. So with the start of these two new episodes, even more shit happened, and God, there was so many great moments between characters, Sophia's sickness, and absolutely one of my favorite bits that we did for these two episodes is having our actual selves being servers.
That was awesome.
What a great bit.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So, besides that, because I'm sure that could just be a regular talking point that we can have for it. What was your favorite moments for these two episodes?
I got a pretty good one. Starting off strong, Ari. I loved Gail directly quoting what Lycan has screamed at you when we had our big argument fight. And it just goes to show like how much it hit Gail. Like, Gail was listening. It wasn't just an argument for argument's sake. Like, things mattered. So, like, you being able to quote that, like, almost word for word was like...
I was so scared. I'm like, I am not articulating this correctly. So I'm glad that it came off that I was word for wording it.
What was the quote for the listeners at home, and also someone who maybe does not remember what the quote was?
It wasn't me this time. I remember.
Howdy, folks. It was at this moment that I noticed I was hooked up to Heat's mic. So we're taking a small break to fix our wiring. There we go. Now, back to the show.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Back on track.
The quote.
I wrote it down, but this is definitely not word for word. It's just as what I remembered. It was, if you don't make choices for yourself, how do you know they're your own? I was like, oh, that's a good quote. And it was what had been sent to you. And you said good friend. And I
did
was
say
like,
friend.
You did say friend. And I was like,
I know.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was my favorite moment.
Thank you.
I liked meeting my family again.
Yeah.
I think it was certainly like, I think a turning point for Brian to be in the same room as his found family previously and his new kind of people,
just like divorced parents.
To be there with everyone kind of connected a lot of like bridges in his mind, if that makes sense. And like he's definitely going to be a lot more open than he was before. Because now it's all one thing ish.
How did you like whenever they were introduced? Because I know you were in like search mode until like there's like, oh, finally, Kyram, boom, like punch to the face.
Well, I think that's very in character for Leon to have done that for sure. And also, Kyram is the reason why Brian wanted to drag Leo along when meeting everyone, because that's the only other Arcanic that he's ever known, and their personalities are very similar. On multiple occasions, Brian has almost called Leo Kyram. I haven't found a chance to actually say it like previously, so I didn't. But that's also
I'm just a replacement.
Last time we were recording, I think it was last time, maybe the time before, I had Brian say something about well, this isn't, blah, 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 based on my experience with Arcanics. And that was a little Easter egg, a bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah. That was that thing that you said all the way back. I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 episodes of Arcane Recovery ago.
Yeah. And I mentioned it during that Arcane Recovery as well, yeah. And then on the car ride home, I remember talking about it with you, and I was like, did you pick up on that foreshadowing?
Yeah.
Thought that was fun.
Leo.
My favorite thing was a really cool thing that Lycan did with the sunflower sonar. I thought that was sick as hell.
Very
I was like, that was such a cool way to do an
Very
improvised room.
Band name.
Sunflower radar.
Sunflowers.
Oh.
Sonar.
Sunflower sonar.
Ooh, that's cool.
That's kind of sick.
Yeah,
That was probably my favorite. That was just really, really cool.
yeah. Because like we haven't seen runes for a while, so once like
Yeah.
just like again like the versatility of rune casting, just be like, yeah, don't worry, I got this. Here's the concept, and just like, yeah, let's do it.
Was so cool, and we were able to help us out.
I love the flexibility of rune casting. It's so fun.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite moments was Nissa and Brian just owning the stalking of this
Oh my
rekindled, and then
Getting
then
rocked.
then getting their butts whipped and being like, "Whoops! Oh, we gotta go." I thought that was really fun.
What scared me is that you had a stat block for that character. Like
I did have stat block.
You're like, I didn't expect this. Then you're immediately, I hear legendary action, and I'm like, oh.
Oh shit.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, if I get, I'll quickly explain that. Where the idea was that it was a potential thing that could have happened inside the fight ring, so I expected all of you guys to be there for that fight. But once Haven was like, I'm looking for someone. I'm just like, you know what? Why not? Because there was that certain information I still wanted you guys to learn. So I was like, sure, why not? And it would be a really cool connection to be like the distributor coming out and you still getting to learn that information and be like, okay, since you guys didn't help out the Night Marauders, you still get a chance to learn that piece of information, which now that you've learned it is as pretty good information.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just very unlucky that it was just the two of you and you're just like, you know what, let's jump this fucker.
I don't know. I think we did a good job on our own.
Yes,
I
you
didn't.
did.
I think we kicked his ass at least a little bit.
I hit one time and he phased through it.
Oh.
That is all that I did. I didn't land a single other hit.
Well,
So you did pretty well. I hexed him twice.
that's not bad.
Ari.
Oh my god. I obviously this was a lot for me. Episode our first episode we recorded today obviously was a lot for me. But I think I do have, so there's a lot of things that are favorite moments, but one that does stick out because it was so like impactful in the moment was really just because of the visual it created in my mind. After Gale stepped out the doors of the house and Nick describes this like sea of people, of the acolytes with lanterns looking up at them. Something about that visual, I almost started crying. And then the idea of that crowd dispersing and just being the one person and that being Toby was just something about that visual just shook me to my core. And I was like, oh, this is the a big end of a road, of a stage. I mean, that whole thing was so much more massive. We can talk a little bit later about what I thought was going to happen versus what did happen, but
Yeah.
That was probably a favorite for me.
Yeah, it like I really wanted to make that scene impactful because I like you said before in the last Arcane Recovery that we've talked about it. Like we had this conversation back and forth, and I was thinking about like, okay, there are repercussions because Iago kind of fucked over Gale and be like, yeah, sure, I'll sign you over to the Prosopone and like everyone else, you know, like since he's this new high priest where he was aware of the rules, but he's like, you know, I'm still going to do this for you because this is what I believe. But since it went against the rules, there was just like this heavy situation about it. And I wanted to make sure that like it was really impactful, that still gave you a good stepping stone to potentially come back. Because like what I want to do before with Atlas posing that question to you, now also keep in mind, there are 4 other champions of Karmos.
This is true.
But for that thing to be like, you're going to receive a champion's blessing for you to return back here, still provides that openness to be like, this can be the thing. And maybe if you answer that question for Atlas, maybe there's a way for Gale to come back. Or maybe if you meet a different champion, who knows?
Well, that was gonna be, I actually had 2. One of mine was gonna be that one because I loved just the visual of it. And I think what I really liked about that was seeing like Gael very clearly expressed like they were not welcomed into the church for a very long part of their life. And yet everyone's standing out there waiting for Gael. I think that just like, I feel like that's very interesting just to see that dynamic and just the difference between like people outwardly were not good to Gael, but also at the same time, there's like still that respect, which I didn't expect to see.
Yeah.
That was just something that was interesting. I
Yeah.
was like, huh.
They're still part of a community that has an awareness of their presence.
Yeah. I was like, that is fascinating that is the one time they would come together. Like,
I mean, I think they were, in my interpretation, they were like sent out there. Like they had to go be out there, but it's interesting.
yeah, I just thought I thought that was very interesting, and the imagery was really, really cool. Selfish thing that I thought was really, really fun was I finally got to fight with Nissa.
Yeah.
And I've been waiting, like that's a lot of Nissa's like texture is the way in which they fight and all that jam, like the seeking arrow and all that stuff shooting up into the air and all that. I have never once used any of their special arrows because if you aren't aware, Nissa is a fighter and a sorcerer. So Nissa's 3rd level fighter, 4th level sorcerer. So has access to more 2nd level spells, but as a fighter is an arcane archer. But yeah, so I was really excited to get to do that.
Yeah.
That felt really fun.
You were kicking ass there. I was having like, especially that beginning. What was that spell that you did in the very beginning?
It's tight. Tasha's psychic lash.
That was fucking me up. Like, because
Yeah.
they had like they had some rogue stuff, so they had like uncanny dodge, and then also the shift phase, and then and I was like also okay with legendary actions being like a part of a reaction thing, but like as soon as that was canceled, I was like, oh shit, okay, this is rough.
It's actually interesting because I built Nissa to be a anti reaction person. Like they are built to like make sure that the enemy is discombobulated and can't do as much as they would like to do. Like that's with psychic lash, it's that. I have the dark cloud or whatever, I can't remember what the spell is, but it's from the light, that one.
And that thorn.
Book of Ebon Tides, where it does like 3, it does that 3, and I shoot them off like three of them, and then they can't. Sadly, it failed, but they would have had another turn full of no reactions.
Yeah.
So I really tried to that.
It's really cool.
That's fair. Yeah. I would say that let's see. I'm going to try and choose a favorite moment from both episodes. I would say my favorite moment out of episode 15.
15. Yeah.
Man, we've done 15 episodes. Holy smokes,
We've done
people.
16.
Yeah. So I would say from 15, my favorite moment that it was just out of a whim. Like you inspired me to be like, you know what? Maybe this might happen. Where it's after you're done, you're making your way outside of the House of the Solstice when you look at the moon and you feel a peaceful presence.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
You're so right. That was a really good moment.
Yeah.
No, because I need to go
But,
see
like,
if there's information I have access to.
It made me
anyway,
think of.
that's all.
It made me think of yoga with Burton, because it's the House of the
It's living in the
Solstice,
moon!
and you need some time in the
I
moon.
need time in the moon. I really do. I really do.
Yeah.
Okay, Jake, cope.
Yes, I know exactly what the peaceful thing was relating to, and I thought it was really awesome.
I have no clue what it was.
Very cool.
I have theories.
Cool. Okay, then yeah. I'll leave it at it as is. For those who understand, awesome. Because I don't want to maybe spoil it.
I understood.
It's UA, obviously.
Yeah.
That's rough, buddy. I will say there's, and this isn't like any implications, but I guess I will say,
If you're pulling my arm.
yeah, if you pull my arm,
Keith just smacked Nick's arm
Nuh-uh.
aggressively.
Dude, stop choking out Nick. He's not the one that's not tipping you.
Tip your server.
I am a server. I so like
You
what
work here? Sorry.
so what went through my mind where whenever you said the moon, I thought of Timnota because she is the goddess of moon, peace, and darkness.
Yeah.
And at a point where I was like, okay, you guys have seen and interacted with enough divine energy to where maybe this is like with, you know, Matana's domain in the Pillar of Dragorum, and you feeling the Incantus gem, and for like Brian and Sig and Lycan getting like some of Oris Fyra's like magic gift a bit. I thought with the way that Gale is just kind of lost like a lot of things and trying to find like just trying to grasp at reality of how much emotion Gale was feeling. I thought it would just be a really good moment to where like when you're just out by yourself, just looking for everything, the people, everyone leaving you, and Toby heading back into the church. I thought it'd be just really a nice touch if Tanoda would be like, here, like, you're going through a lot right now. Here's just a little something.
I know, which is so interesting because that is more than Gale's ever gotten from their own goddess, which is really fascinating.
Yeah, and yeah, so that was just
thoughts in my brain.
That was just a wonderful moment. I was like, oh, this is great. From
There's
six
a difference between justice and peace.
Truth.
Yeah. I would say for episode 16, that was just us like talking. Oh, Pippi Pyre's. I've been waiting to release this NPC for the longest time. What do you guys think about him?
Adorable little dude.
No,
Yeah.
the way you voice his stutter is really excellent. It feels really real. I feel like I don't know. That was just like dope representation almost. That's what I felt like. It was just I don't know. It's like the way actual people stutter, and I just appreciated that in that moment. That's just like it's just a person, and this is how they are. And Pippi's funny, and what a fucking time for Gale to be him. I was like, God, Nick, why?
Yeah, that's fair.
I kind of feel like Mr. Incredible and the Incredibles are like fly home. Like
Fly home, buddy.
yeah, fly home, buddy. Like that's what it feels like a little bit sometimes when he's just like talking. I'm like, fly home, buddy.
Yeah.
Because like all his theories, like none of them are
Absolutely.
incorrect because we don't know. But like at the same time, like as soon as we were like, we're gonna follow this person, I thought the whole group was gonna get up, and I was like, if I get a chance, I'm gonna say fly home, buddy. Like I wanted to.
That's
But
funny.
you guys were like, let's sneak off, and I was like,
This makes me think, because I wanted to ask you, how different did these two episodes go compared to the idea that you thought? Because like I know that you created the entire fight ring, and then we just kind of went down there and we're like, oh, so this is a thing. Yeah, you guys are doing stuff. Yeah, that's not our deal. All right, see ya.
Yeah.
Well, back upstairs.
That's totally fair, because I know I was dropping hints of information. I was expecting you guys to try and get into the lower tunnels. I just didn't know what exactly that would mean, or if you would wait till the next morning to try and explore through daytime. But at first I was thinking where I was like, okay, maybe like Brian said on going to the fighting ring to be able to talk to that. Maybe he's going to talk to like a barkeep or like the bookie or to be like, hey, I want to get in this fight, and try and talk to someone where it's like, I want to find the Night Marauders and that. But like you like and as soon as you were just like, yeah, here's this rune where I hone it on Arcanics, I'm like, well, that's not going to be a fight. They're just going to beamline straight toward it.
Yeah.
And once you decide to go up, I was like, okay. And that's what I used Pippi for, because Pippi knew that there was a fight ring, and to explain that there are two methods to get into the lower tunnels through the fight ring, and then also the Red Fox Den, that still gives you like, here's an option in case you want to do either one. You have to figure out which one you want to do. Maybe Pippi knows how to get into it, but you haven't really asked him yet. So like the choice is really up to you guys and what you want to do.
Yeah.
I will say there is a nice reward if you complete the fight ring.
Well,
Yeah.
Like,
So we have to go back to the fighting.
Yeah.
I have an inkling.
I have this feeling.
God.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
With Pippi, I did just want to say real quick because you asked about it.
yeah.
The fact that you introduced Pippi right after talking about like the moon, I was like, oh, this is clearly a patron of the moon or something.
No, I thought
I was like, it literally took until Pippi was at the wheelbarrow and talking to us. I was like, oh, this is just some guy.
Yeah.
I thought he was a patron of the moon the entire
Me
time
too.
until that point.
It was either that or Pippi was going to kill Gale. Like it was
Yeah.
like either that or that was the butcher. Like that was the only two options in my head.
That's
Yeah.
another thing that I thought of.
That's fair.
No, not about Pippi. Just when we were fighting the Rekindled and they were doing all that damage in such a short amount of time, I was like, "Holy shit, is this the book?" Like that is a genuine thought that I had, and
Yeah.
kind of am still thinking, but I don't know.
That's totally fair. I was so ready to. Also, what I really loved about that kind of interaction is you were doing like Thieves' Cant. Everyone from an outside experience is hearing just like, oh, here's a conversation about shoes and getting money for today's sellings. But then it transitioned to where like, hey, here's the contact of what happened with this. And so that's like a way for like people can use Thieves' Cant to be like, oh, here's what they're actually saying. Instead of me being like, here's a chart of all the Thieves' Cant's, keywords.
Figure it out.
Yeah, figure out how
geez.
to put it in a conversation. So I'm going to be really happy with how that comes out.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Excuse me.
That was a supportive. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's also what I loved about Pippi, because I had him as like this, also I'm finally glad we got to the realization that he is the conspiracy theorist for the ocean and the lycanthrope book you guys
Yep.
had. Funny thing.
I went, wait a minute.
As soon as you said
Oh, he
ocean
wrote
in
that
the thing, I was like,
lycanthrope
oh
book.
shit.
Yes.
As soon as he mentioned lycanthrope, I was like, "You're behind us. I've already done that research."
Yeah. I made the book, bro. But like, what's so funny is I talked to Haven the day or the night after we recorded all that, and I was just like, they did not even open up to the author's name. Like that's something they could have done, and it would have said Pippi Pirate, where it's like, oh shit.
This sign can't stop me because I can't read.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it was at a point where I was
That's
just
our party
like,
frequently.
yeah, where they haven't talked to Pippi yet, so maybe I should just throw into them Pippi into their way, and I think it worked out beautifully.
Yep.
Yeah,
Chicken butt.
thinking back.
Um,
Boo at this guy. Boo! I got you back.
You didn't even say it right.
Boo this motherfucker! Boo!
Somebody.
Everybody boo this motherfucker.
Well, I think there's multiple ways to say it. I think everybody. Anyways,
No, it must be exact.
Yeah.
Dollar bill.
I
yo.
mean,
Stop.
I don't know. I'm trying to like figure out how to spin this as well, because it's mostly a Nick and I conversation. But it was really fun. La 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 la. No, yeah, I'm saying conversations that we had before. I just don't want it to
I thought you were being like, we can't hear this.
That it would be not interesting to you guys. But I mean, it was really cool seeing y'all's reactions to what was happening with Gale, because it like helped me, Ari, feel like y'all were still invested in this story, because so much with Gale has happened without any of y'all seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes like when it's just me and Nick, he's DMing stuff and I'm doing things, I'm like, everyone else must be so bored and they probably don't care. But that was like, oh, okay, I'm probably wrong about that y'all are still invested as well. So I appreciated
Yeah.
that. But yeah.
Yeah. Whenever to add on to that, I loved it whenever you were when Gale was in the Prosopone, and I remember just seeing out like the corner of my eye when Atlas was like, "You killed Alexei," and I just remember seeing you like Heath and Jake and Adam were just like, "Oh shit, like, fuck.
This is not good." Yeah.
And I was just like, "Cool, these are good moments." And then also going back to where Malus was just like going off and just like you Iago, or especially whenever there's like really intense moments whenever Leon punched Brian and I was like, you bastard, like I saw a physical reaction from you, Ari. You were just like,
Yes.
holy shit, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, no, I was like, what's happening here?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's nice to like you guys to keep you on your toes and be like, you know,
Yeah.
anything could happen.
I know.
Anything can happen in the woods.
Yeah, but Adam, you wanted to.
I just had there was another like favorite moment that wasn't really in the stuff, but it was at the start of 16. Ari went, my name's Ari Bartek Mitchell and I'm playing Gael. That was it.
Yeah.
I got so excited. I was like, yes!
I know. I've been
was waiting for that.
What's funny is certainly the way this arc has gone so far for Gail and I
massive
has
one.
not. It's not been like what I expected it to be in a great way. It's really fun, and also like deeply stressful for me. It's okay, but like fictional D&D world stressful. So much better than real life stressful. So I'll take it. But my plan was always in some form that Gail was going to leave the house. I had no idea what that was going to be. I didn't know if that was going to be, they were made to leave. They chose to leave. They left because like the party was going somewhere else. And so they had to. I knew at some point they were going to get removed from that because it was going to be important to their growth. And so I was very deliberate in making that part of my intro so I could take that time where I just said, and I'm playing Gail. Because isn't that boss? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
fun.
no, it's so good.
I thought it was fun. Yeah, I know. God, so many unexpected things. Viewers, just so you know, because I messaged Nick 2 days ago, Friday. When were we? I
think it
messaged
was 2
Nick with
days
some
ago.
things, and I was like, "Hey, I think I'm gonna throw you some fucking curveballs, and I just want you to know what my plans are."
Yeah.
It was Friday because Nick and
so-
I were in Roosters when this occurred.
Oh, that's
Yes,
so funny.
and Nick and I were standing in line, and he goes, "Holy shit!" and I went, "Yeah."
Yeah, I mean, does everyone want to guess what the thing that Nick wasn't expecting me to do was?
Yeah.
You don't have to. I just think it'd be
It was
fun.
whenever Malus was like, "What say you?" and Gail was like, "Well, here's what I kind of want."
Like the skadoodle, or
I think we were
The reason
we knew
for
the
it.
skadoodle bit. It's okay if you
Wow,
don't
no
remember.
one was taking notes.
Whoa, I don't know
as
the
a
information.
PC, I don't take notes when I'm not in the scene.
Neither do
No, I don't
Oh,
either.
Yeah, same.
You know, that's copping out.
Okay.
I mean, to me, it stops metagaming, but okay.
Yeah, I'll metagame instead if you want me to metagame.
Yeah,
Shit,
you can
man,
metagame.
Hey, Gail, you
I,
left the
uh,
house of stones and solstice, right?
Yeah, I knew
Yeah.
I saw it in my third eye.
I'll just
Something
roll
just
some
happened.
math rocks.
Barry
and-
told me about it.
Hey, Barry, come on.
Now what the fuck?
Anyway, the bit that was a curveball that I wanted to make sure Nick knew, because it wasn't something that was super going to be part of all of it, was Gail asking about like where their parents, where they came from, any information about that. That's something that came to me between this past session and this one, because
Yep.
I'm like, I mean, we were always heading down the road of like the only way Gail's going to grow is to recontextualize themselves outside of the world that they have known. And I was like, they have never known a world that wasn't that. What can be a good external goal? And I'm like, well, they know they come from somewhere. And I mean, they have this whole thing of like constantly kind of being rejected and kind of not being good enough. And theoretically, their life kind of started that way, but immediately by like being left by their parents. So I wanted to make sure that Nick knew that, as well as what my plans were in general, so he could weave it in
Oh yeah.
well with the rest of where the rest of y'all are. But I really thought I was gonna go to Malus and get my information, and then I was gonna go to Tovi and tell her I was leaving, and blah, blah, and then just sneak out quietly. Let me tell you what didn't happen. That
Mirren showed up.
this motherfucker.
You think you would? Yeah, no.
Yeah, God, I know.
yeah.
Did sneak in a Mirren before I got banished.
I did. That was and like going back to Haven's point of like everyone being outside of the house waiting except Mirren and his little posse.
Wait a fucking second.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, that asshole! I'm gonna go redeem myself, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna punch him in the face.
I can't. Yeah. I can't.
Another moment I really liked is you two when you first left and you're like competing to be cool.
Nissa and Brian.
That was really
Yeah, Nissa and Brian. As I point to them, that everyone
Yeah,
who's
you
listening
guys.
can see. Yeah, you guys. Yeah, I like that moment when you guys were competing and you're like a little sly smile appears on Nissa's face, and I was like, "Aw."
Yeah, I think that's really fun because Brian doesn't really know about Nissa's contempt. Or contempt. What's the word? Contempt for him.
Nissa's
So
not
he-
content.
So he like, I mean, he doesn't know Nissa very well, but he's the sneak guy. That's what he does. He also stealthy. So if there's a stealth mission, and so going along with it just felt natural. But he also like has experienced Nissa in the past being a little bit cold toward him, so he just wanted to be cooler than them.
Yeah.
And he tried his best.
I actually, it's my favorite moment between the two of them was just the moments where it was just like they were just staring at each other after like one would say one thing that both were going to go do. It just felt like
Like they're both used to working alone, and they're like,
yeah, and
how
it
do I operate
was
with
it was
another
a
person?
Well, yeah, of course you would. We're both doing the same thing. Like, like it was a very interesting and from Nissa's point of view, the only reason they went on that was because of the clarification through Alxador. Was that they actually saw, oh shit, I am worthy of something like that.
Yeah, I think that was a really excellent follow-up
Yeah.
on that conversation. It just like kind of fell into place. It was cool.
Yeah. I think that was interesting because like that's why those silences mattered so much to me, as like Nissa was just like, I'm like actually full on talking to Brian now. I like, this is an adjustment, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's really cool. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Going actually, I'll this will be a little tangent, but what did you guys think about me adding all of you, yourselves, in as servers
Oh my god.
and people
really
that
funny.
work for this inn?
Must have been the
so
win.
funny.
Huh?
I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so goofy.
Yeah, because like I thought it'd be like a really funny gag whenever I first introduced it, and then whenever like and Haven and I talked about this, where like Barry came in as like a random NPC that Adam voiced, and then you two added, what was it, Barry, Larry, and
Dairy.
and that was just
Kevin,
like,
but Dairy.
and it was at this point where I was like, you know what, it's gonna be absolutely hilarious if
Dairy's lactose intolerant.
damn. But if
Larry
I
likes cucumbers.
yeah.
Hey.
Whoa.
That's
Oh,
from
I-
Veggie Tales.
I like
don't
cucumber.
know.
Oh, I didn't hear. Yeah.
There's Larry the Cucumber,
Cannibal.
Veggie Tales.
Oh.
People will know if they know.
I got you.
Guys,
you don't know.
comment down below if you understand the reference.
Only the kids who went to Christian specific Bible camps.
CCD, man.
Oh, bother.
Yeah, but I thought it would be really funny just to have like all you guys just be yourselves and be like, yeah, this is a random NPC character that you can have besides that, and just be goofy with the podcast.
Yeah.
And I like that they weren't exact. They were caricatures. Of
Yes.
themselves,
Yeah.
which is always a better.
I mean,
route.
yeah, I did flips. I can't do flips.
That was the funniest shit. That was so funny.
That was so
He's just
funny.
a cool guy. No other description
I'm
of
a cool
self.
guy. Everyone likes me.
They're doing flips. I'm choking out patrons.
I'm
Yes.
just fed up.
I'm
Yeah,
picking
the
up the
chair
slack.
was on top where I was like once you two or Nissa and Brian went out, I was like, how am I going to involve Ari in this? Because like they're still at the inn. I want to make sure that we all get some type of NPC in. And then as soon as you two started arguing, I'm like, oh, guess who's gonna come by? The manager.
Oh no! Don't put me in a managerial position.
It
Good
was.
God.
I also, Adam. I will hand it to you. You gave literally the perfect ending because whenever you said what you said, I was like, Nick, if you don't end it there, I'm literally gonna make you
The
end
freaking- the
it because
freaking
I was
shy
like
thing?
that.
Yeah.
No, specifically just at the end. If you get tired, come back home.
Oh.
just
Oh,
that. Like
that
I was
was
like,
good.
that is the end. If you do not do that, I'm gonna fucking be so mad. Like,
What's so funny is you've had the ending lines for the past 2 episodes. Then
I know.
I have. I don't
Cute,
even.
you're
yeah,
cute.
try.
Oh, the
Can
chai.
I get a
forgot
try?
about
That was so good.
And that just shows how little we've actually moved because we were
Yeah.
still in the same place.
We haven't
Yeah.
left the building for
we
like 3
haven't
episodes.
fucking
Yeah.
done anything. I mean, we've done a lot of things.
Well, I mean, actually, just to go on to that point now, since like with the Night Marauders, what do you guys think of this new drug lord that's like competing with Calhoun and learning information that connects what you already know? Like I know I dropped a couple names where it was. Let me just look. There was Dante, Mathis, Corbin. Yeah, those guys. Like, what do you think about like those connections to what you guys started learning?
I have some thoughts.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, please do.
I thanks. Where'd this come from?
he pointed to his mic.
So I think I like the idea of the fact that the story continues from the last arc. It's all still connected, but it for Brian specifically, it creates this. I can't go into too much detail, but the listeners will know what I'm talking about, even though you guys don't. It creates this interesting dichotomy within the confines of Brian's contract because he wants to help his, the Night Marauders. He wants to help them out, but he literally does not know if he is able to, because he has to focus on what he was told to do, but he doesn't know if he can do more in the meantime. You know what I'm saying.
I do.
Right? So like it creates this interesting like where he wants to help, but he's not sure if he can, but he's still going to try to, but he doesn't want to do too much because then he could get into trouble and then this and that and blah blah blah, because he still needs to focus on the butcher or else consequences. So
Yeah. No, I totally agree because whenever I thought it'd be really interesting to tell like all of you guys where it's like they're currently on a mission right now and you're kind of like interrupting a bit, and whenever there's like, well, actually here's a little bit of like what we're doing, where it's like, oh, there's this whole other thing going on with like little bits of pieces of information that you guys solved in arc 1, but also there's like this new problem going on, but then you're also dealing with the butcher and like information that you guys know, it's all kind of like going together where there's like this bigger overarching thing going on.
Yeah, good job with leaving like hints for that. Because like
Thank
with like the tariffs and that leading to the creation of Liquid Luxury, I didn't think it would be like something that would get back alleyed and black marketed, but here we are.
I play the long game.
Yeah.
He really freaking does. No, as soon as you introduced that thing that the Night Marauders were working on, I was like, oh, cool. This is going to be another one of those things that's like happening in the background to show that the world is not just us. And then it started connecting and I went, okay, well, actually it is us too as well. Shit. More problems.
bad.
Problems on our problems.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say what was your most like aha or most intriguing moment that you had with one of the murder files that lined up with something new that you learned in these 2 episodes?
Oh
Oh
God.
shit,
That's
that's a
a
big
homeworky question, Nick.
I know, Nick.
gosh.
I'm like,
Well, yeah, review your notes. You're taking them, right?
and it's hard because like I don't remember where they all died or how they all connect.
Who is the one
like-
M name? Who is the one?
Mathis?
Mathis.
Yeah. My answer is Mathis because they mentioned it. Well,
Yes. Yeah, so we have Mathis. It was a butcher murder 4 months ago. Location of death was the storage warehouse in Karth Plaza. They were a street vendor, and Mathis was a familiar face in the market selling rare trinkets and importing goods from Gelgrados.
I did not catch that one.
Yeah, and I don't understand.
Yeah.
He got replaced by the Rekindled?
Yep.
Like the job got replaced
Yes.
by the Rekindled? Okay.
So it's kind of inferred that that Mathis was this, explaining it now, is this front man for call Moira, and then once they died, this new distributor took that place
I know.
and is now being like, okay, well, here's the black market underneath the Karth Plaza.
Starts to all come back to that.
That's the one where I was like, whoa. Also, the reveal that Pippi said about like this I kind of had a slight suspicion of, that every single one of them was the Butcher.
Yeah.
I had a slight suspicion that was it. I was like, I don't know if that's an oath breaker.
Yeah, and whenever the episode comes out, or that is something the magistrate mentions, where he's like, most of these deaths here were actually all of them were Butcher murders.
Yeah, remember when we were going through all of those, and I was like, why the hell are we reading through Oathwort?
Yeah.
Remember, because I was confused. I was like, wait, why do we care about these?
I was like, let's only get the important ones.
Because it matters.
Yeah, and that's and I wanted Pippi to be like a confirmation to you guys, even though like he's someone new that you was introduced to, but I just wanted to be like, here's another good person that will just validate all your information and be like, here's his own information that he's found out through there, where it's like, well, we got all this stuff, and now there's like this other guy saying he knows all these things. Like, do we trust him? Do we this? And I just want to be like, yeah, you probably should. So it just lines up for what you guys know.
Well, now it begs the question, though, is like, is Dragorim the right person?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's
earlier.
Yeah.
That's like why earlier in the episode I was like, while
Yes.
talking to Pippi, I was like, I don't know who it is anymore, because then it could just be some underground urchin that we don't know who it is.
yeah.
Because
And, like,
how would
because
that
all-
make sense for the other things? We were really focused in on Orin, but clearly the magistrate
We're gonna make
was
some people
happy
mad.
about what we
I want
did.
to know the Magister's relation to liquid luxury, because I feel like if we understand if he knows the other liquid luxury people, that would be a little more telling.
Yeah.
If it is him,
Yeah.
because we don't know his stance on that,
Yeah.
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 because they're all connected through liquid luxury.
Wait, okay, just from my brain, are liquid luxury and liquid luck the same thing? Or
No.
am I,
No,
okay.
completely different.
Different.
Liquid luxury is the cure.
Yes, and it's supposed to alleviate liquid.
okay.
So anyone
Okay.
there.
Like
Okay.
alleviate the withdrawal symptoms
Cool.
and things like that.
Yeah.
Because like this
I
whole
know
time,
it's
I've just
really
been
hard.
flip flopping the two
Yeah.
of them.
It's like a Nick patch.
Yeah. Now,
Okay.
what's
Okay,
actually
okay.
really interesting, going back to like, oh, what did you guys want to do? I was like kind of hoping that you guys would try and find this distributor inside the fighting ring, where maybe Sig and Brian find it, because there's some things where it's like, oh, you want to sample some of this stuff?
Oh, God, not bringing that back.
And-
Ooh,
Ooh.
a piece of cake, shiny.
So I was kind of hoping that was going to be an interaction that happened, but I was like, okay, maybe not. And then once you, Nissa, and Brian were telling them like, okay, maybe it can happen. And then once there was like, oh, what's jump up? And I'm like, no, that's not happening.
I want to know, what spell did the dude cast when he hit both of us with like a violet flame?
Wait, what the fuck was that?
Because I was like, motherfucker. I was like, what spell does that shit?
That was its own like attack, like spell ranged attack that I
Okay.
did, and I'll tell you about the stat block a bit, but and that's why I was asking about some things that I might actually have cut out, but I called this Vibrant Arrow. It's a ranged spell attack that can target 2 people and deals 18 or 4d8 plus 5 force damage.
Oi.
Makes sense why it hurt so much.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, gee.
But this was I like my original, like in another campaign that I ran, I had this exact person, and they were a satyr. That's where like the kicking
That's my
stuff
guess,
came in.
yeah.
And I was like, okay, let's pick a random race that maybe that, and I was like rekindled. I'm like, okay, let's make this person badass. Let's
That
do
makes
it.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sick.
Just guy who likes to kick.
Yeah.
As soon as you said powder, I was like, he's doing drugs.
He's doing
Then you're
drugs.
like, nah, they're gonna fuck him up. Actually,
Yeah.
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 That was a sick ass move.
Yeah. Well, like what I did for that is that, you know how like fireworks work, that if you combine different elements,
Yeah.
it turns different colors. So I wanted to have that same concept for the rekindled, that they eat certain things, they could just change their flame color.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting.
Well, what that does also now is like, now it makes, at least me as a player, question: okay, are all rekindles the exact color we see them to be?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Like, if they like, how many of them know that?
Yeah.
How many of them are aware of the science behind that type of like power to change their color and just be kind of like walking around?
That's very
If
fair.
you blow out a rekindled candle, does it stay out?
You can't do that unless you actually
We
kill
have, we
them.
have
They're not
purposely
like
made it
Charmander?
not possible mechanically, so
Yes.
you can't just kill somebody outright.
Like
Well,
I
They
think
just become extinguished, don't they?
that's if they commit the same crime they did
That's
in this new life.
Yeah, so
It's magic, so it doesn't work like
Yeah.
fire.
yeah.
So if I use dispel magic,
Yeah.
Thank you. Just
Well-
break the construct.
Oh.
I think that
See,
person's
that's-
soul would just be like damned to
You know-
wander the cosmos.
It's really interesting that you guys are talking about this because there's a thing that I want to touch on with that concept. You have to obviously ask around and talk with certain people. It's going to be a lot harder for some other people, but I do want to explore like what it is to be a rekindled a bit in this arc. If there's the opportunity that you guys talk with certain people to do that,
Yeah.
but I think you
Still
will.
haven't revisited the Infernonaut.
I know.
Yeah,
thinking about
from that Refernonaut coming
Dead
in episode
Infernonaut.
1.
I was thinking about that.
And then whenever Nissa and Sig and Barry,
the drunk night out.
Drug night
Drunk
I
out.
know,
Yeah.
but we told someone about it, so
Yeah, we just never went back to
we never.
reinvestigate what was
Yeah.
going on with that.
yeah,
We got bigger fish.
Oh, absolutely. It's just interesting.
Oh no, absolutely. It was not a
There's always a
criticism,
bigger
just
fish.
thought. It's always a bigger fish.
So many fish.
I have a question.
yeah.
Question. I have something in my mouth.
That's not a question.
Fuck you. Question for the class. I don't know if this is something that is interesting. We have had so many little lore drops of different characters, and in situations where one character or maybe one or two characters heard it, not everyone, or happened completely alone with that character to themselves or in their own whatever. What bit of lore drop from someone has made you the most like excited or interested to learn more? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Pearl.
Yeah, that's mine too. With the Pearl bit, and I think you said
And
Coral.
Coral.
Yeah, Coral. I'm curious about the familial life of Brian.
Yeah.
Like familial life. Not chosen family, but the one he was born.
And I certainly have. Sorry, I'm so.
No, you do your thing.
Just to add on to that, if and don't take this as you need to get me down to it, but if death saves ever come into play, I got plenty of memories prepared.
Oh, yes, the memory.
Hi, Brian.
Hey!
Was that a good Ynir?
That was
pretty solid.
Yeah.
Pretty dope.
Dude, Riker, Ynir, I could do any voice Haven can.
Now do it.
do your
Do one of my French ones.
wee wee.
Very good. Very good. He can do all of it.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Nailed it.
Damn right.
You laugh and then I
Pretty
call.
good.
Ooh, me.
Yes.
You.
Or no, yes.
Yeah.
I would say Nissa's. What Elxor found most intriguing was relating to Brian of saying like I had my own magistrate. That
Yeah.
was like a lore drop where it's like actually it's just a little thing that I'm called by this one person and it's my magistrate compared to Brian and how much I see myself in him. That was like, ooh. Wonder where that will
Thank
go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by two. I'm sorry, I'm picking. I'm intrigued by all of the stuff with Rathul, and like more information on how that started. Like we know when it started, but not before.
Yeah.
Really,
What led up to that.
yeah, and I'm intrigued to learn about that, and then also more about this cage shit with Lycan and like being trapped and stuff. I just find that very intriguing. And
Yeah,
I'd like
you
to learn
casually
more.
dropping that to a stranger
Yeah.
while I'm standing
Yeah.
there. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. There'll be more. Yeah, I'm excited. I want to learn more about Rithul too, and I think we will because we'll get into the rune stuff we've been talking about doing, but haven't had time to do. So
Yeah, every night we just go home and read a little bit. You know?
Well,
yeah,
how
no,
many
like we
nights?
can.
Yeah, go home tonight or in the the podcast and just read a little book and maybe I'll give you a little something.
Oh.
Little lore stuff.
I would say I have two. One was Nissa's lore drop about, oh, I'm not a princess. That's just what she calls me. And I'm like, what is this mysterious,
Spooky.
weird, abusive
Pronoun
thing
game.
going on? It's the pronoun game. That and also stuff with Leo's past that we have only really seen in that one death save flashback, which obviously was not something that anyone saw, because I really think that there's a world where Gale and Leo get to kind of connect over being kind of a failure within their own world. Obviously, I don't fully know what all the context is with Leo, but he's very different from the other Arcanics we've met so far and what we've heard about them being kind of like uppity kind of whatever and not having this emotion thing. So I'm intrigued to know more about that because I think it could be a cool character connection moment.
Yeah. Talk about playing the long game. I'm playing the long game with Leo.
Yeah.
I also just don't think there's any moment that feels like he would just be like, hey, this is what I've experienced yet.
Yeah.
I haven't felt that happen yet. And we'll see when it does or if it does. We'll see.
I really like the conversation, or not the conversations, the opportunities that Leo kind of has to talk to different Arcanics that he's met in the city so far. Because I know I mentioned there's Talus in the death domain of the House of the Solstice. There's now Glassus that you started talking to.
Yeah, who
and
have
now
answers.
Yeah, now there's Rem.
It's like a darker
Chiron,
version
yeah.
of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evil Leo.
Evil Leo.
Personality-wise, he's very similar to Leo.
Oh,
Very similar.
that's cute.
Good to know. I know how to roleplay now.
Yeah.
They're just gonna do me.
Adam, can you come over here?
I'm gonna get replaced.
Yeah, can you come over to my mic and
I'll just walk back and forth. Yeah.
Like Leo's up here, and then Kyram's down here, and it's like Sonic and Frontiers. Versus
Kyram is just an
You know what I'm talking
emo
about?
version
Yeah.
of Leo.
I do.
evil.
Emo.
Grove of
Oh.
Spriggans.
Emo.
I was like, what are you talking about? Evil.
The shadows in my room.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's also this Grove of Spriggans to check out.
Mm.
And I don't.
Yes.
God.
I don't know anything about that. So
There's so much.
Yeah.
the ocean, like
Yeah.
Fucking ocean.
Yeah, you could have talked to Pippi.
I got a little distracted.
You did.
That's all right.
Plus, I wasn't sure if Brian actually clocked the fact that while flipping through, the ocean was there. I don't know if he even really saw that.
That's why I
So-
told the Brassberries to keep us updated.
Yeah.
'Cause I was like, Brian would want to know this. I'll ask.
No,
Absolutely.
that's
I love
sweet.
that. And anyone else?
Haven, did you say yours?
No. I mean, it's weird for me to answer because I'm a DM and I kind of know
Some things.
a lot of things. So I'm like, oh man, I'm so excited about like these things, but like also at the same time, I'm like, I know about these things.
Yeah.
I think, as I said earlier, like I like backstories that are connected because it's always really fun to play with backstories that are connected as a DM perspective. So I'm really excited for Leo and Lycan because there's so much that they have hinted towards. Like, I mean, Lycan's even stated a name from their past,
Yeah.
their past.
Like
Huge drop. I was
guy.
Like-
I didn't think we were
Freaking
gonna
service.
mention him again.
Yeah, like Cerbus being dropped is really cool. I'm excited to explore that and get to see and talk more about that jam and see. I'm really excited to talk about Leo's backstory a lot because actually Adam has been working on a little bit of a backstory and just got it back to me.
Yeah.
And it's more fleshed out than what we originally had.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to explore that and what Torbadir is like
Mm-hmm.
because of certain things that
Certain
we're
things.
going to talk about in the future. And I have always Torbadir is just a really cool city. I'm
And that little just moment from the death save, like we said, was just literally the first moment of Leo appearing.
yeah.
And what happened. And we don't know what happened. It just was the start and the panic and then the wake.
Yeah, and I think that was awesome. Like when it was done, it was really well done, and we've seen those moments of brick, nest, tree, like all these things.
Yeah.
Like there's so much that you do as a player that really like hints towards things, but we like, and so we know who Leo is and the things he's gone through, but we don't. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Good.
that's
It's
super
cool.
interesting.
I'm
But
doing
actually, as I was talking about that made me think about something in general. I don't think I don't think people at home, especially people who don't play D&D, will realize how good of players you all are. And I like want to highlight that in terms of like, if you have never been a DM before, there's some people that really just don't work with you to like create their story, even though like that's the whole point. And it's really awesome to have like such devoted players that like with Ari, like Ari is, I have not read them, but I have seen the tens of pages that have been sent to Nick.
Lots.
And like it's awesome
So
that
much
like
pages.
that happens. But even when something goes a different way than Ari expects, they pivot because we're pivoteers.
We're
Yeah.
pivoteers.
Damn right.
If I could touch on that,
Yeah.
that was something I was really worried about whenever I was like, you had your own plan for how you wanted to ask Malus and Toby these questions, and I was like, I really hope I'm just not railroading you like to a really high degree.
But it didn't feel like railroading at all because I told you the things I wanted to do. I wasn't like, this is exactly how it has to
Yeah.
happen. That was just me in my brain. But what you did was way cooler.
Oh, thank you.
So, I mean, it has way more consequences. And we've talked a lot about how, like, consequences are a big part of this story and what you guys want to do with it as DMs. And I think it worked really well. But yeah, it is very interesting because I've spent a lot of time with Nick building the House of the Solstice, and now I'm not allowed to be there anymore. And so I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no.
There-
And my parents are somewhere in Conamanther, but that's a big fucking city, and I don't know where to go or when I'm gonna do that. But that's cool. So at least I have a thread.
For with how I usually play my D&D characters too, because like there's certain moments that I think about that I'm like, oh, this could be a fun thing to do, but like we'll see if that happens, and like if it doesn't, that's okay. Because I mean, if you can't tell, I'm an improviser. I do a lot of improv, but it's just there's a weird pattern that's happened with this character and a previous character I played where there's a backstory that my character has, but there's also a backstory that's behind the backstory that I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I'm referring to XD where he didn't know originally his past, which if you don't know XD, he was my little Warforged bard that I have played.
I love it.
But yeah, Leo has a backstory that he knows and then also a backstory that he doesn't know. So I'm very curious to figure that doesn't know part out and also to reveal the things that he does know and to figure out like
And we'll get to talk a little bit more about that in Arc 3.
yeah.
I have
We'll
a lot
figure
of
out.
plans.
Well,
I mean,
now
to an
it's
extent, I think well-crafted D&D characters have an element that's like, well, this is what the player doesn't know.
yeah.
That the DMs provide.
Mhm.
But like you've
I think
purposefully
it'll-
handed over so much control.
Yeah, I think that because a part of us, you saying that we're like really good storytellers or really good character builders and stuff like that also comes from the attribute of DMs that use the material in a way that is constructive and build the story with the clay they're given. And I think that's really what makes it the push and pull, the pinch and ouch, you could say, of how a good D&D, like a good D&D relationship works with the DM and the players is giving and receiving to each other to build a story. Because that's how, with improv, you don't deny, justify, or you figure out different things that can add to the story, the scenario, or whatever may happen, and just seeing what story comes out of it. Because you never know, you could plan for one thing and then this other thing happens and it's so much cooler and you're like, that's great, that's awesome. And that just goes with collaboration between both sides.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think on that, if you want to take it away,
Yeah.
that wisdom passed down.
Heck yeah. I just see that none of you guys are interested in Elkstor's backstory.
I don't give a shit about
No one was.
I don't give a shit about Viltrum.
You and me both, Elxidor. No one was intrigued by my shit.
Oh no,
It's just because
I think
I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm deeply joking. Because, I mean, the truth of the matter is Gale hasn't really dropped much to y'all. Things have just happened to them solo.
Elixidor feels so normal and it's so
I know,
weird.
he's so, like,
Something's got to be
fine.
wrong with you.
Yeah, and I've said before what
You can ask.
I was interested on Gale's story. I've already said a bunch of my excitements.
I know. I'm just being dramatic. I love you all. Yeah.
Brian, I just know his drop was crazy when he said Pearl. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
you've said nothing for this past like 7 games we've had, and then you suddenly like bring something up. Probably more than that.
It's been 6 months and
Pearl was episode 2, wasn't she?
Episode 2.
When I said it to
No.
Sarah, when I had that Sarah conversation, that was
Nah.
episode 2 or 3.
Well, the
but you
sister
didn't.
thing.
You said sister, not the name.
Oh, you said sister. You didn't say the name.
Well, there was. It
Oh,
was also
really?
the thing
Yeah.
Oh.
with the. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Never dropped the name.
Nope.
That's why it was so huge. You're like, there's a name. There's something about.
Actually, truly last thing.
Yeah.
You want to talk about good players? Everyone at this table is a good player. I am so glad of how good of a sport Jake is for getting shit on
Yes.
every fucking episode.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Nobody else would be able to handle it like Jake.
No.
I like the amount in which he has had disadvantage for 4 episodes.
Missed every
on
hit.
everything. Missed every hit. Has been given a new shackle.
Got thrown into a dungeon.
Like
A
this,
new shackle around the neck and a new sword that's a shackle.
sword
yes. Like
Sword
it is
demon.
like everything that has been given to Brian is just another trap, and no person would take it in stride like I have seen Jake take it. I would be so pissed personally.
Yes. Yeah.
Kaboom.
So glad you said that. That was a point too, because I was just like, man, dude, like you and me have just put Brian through the ringer.
We really have.
Yeah. Don't worry. There's
Not intentional. Truly,
Yeah.
really not even that intentional.
No, you know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna fucking die before any of the good shit plan happens. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. You're
The
just
light will
an easy
shine
target.
us once again, brother.
Yeah. Oh Lord. Well, everyone, I said, have we recovered?
Recover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arcane. Cool. Well, everyone, for you listeners out there, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Stay warm. Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Stay safe. I said stay safe again. I said it right again.
And stay dry. Where please don't eat your roommate's food without saying anything. It's disrespectful as fuck.
Shit, is this at me? Did I do that?
No.
Everybody boo this motherfucker.
Boo! I did it to myself, so I'm fine.
It makes it more fun.
That was bullied in elementary school. I know how to deal with.
Why do you think I'm funny now?
You know how much trauma it takes to be this funny?
No, Haven, you're perfect.
Thanks, Schnookums.
Yeah. Until next time, be careful adventuring. Because if you're tired, you could always come back home.
Come back home.
I
missed it.
How could you?
I forgot.
I need up out of that chair. Oh my god. I'm sick of this chair.
You're sick of this chair.
I'm sick of this chair.